what do you think of when you think of the God of the Old Testament? What is his character like? What kind of person is he? I think for many people, when they think of the God of the Old Testament, they think of someone who's terrifying, someone who commands obedience and punishes without mercy disobedience. I think for many of us as Christians, we feel drawn to Jesus rather than Yahweh of the Old Testament. I mean, this is partly natural because Jesus reveals the face, the heart of the Father more than anyone. But we also need to acknowledge the character of Yahweh, the one who's in the Old Testament, which is the majority of the Bible. And so I'd like to take us to consider a passage in the Old Testament that's very familiar to us, Psalm 23. It's a passage from David. It's a testimony of the character of the God that he knew and loved. And so Psalm 23 starts out this way. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. I lack nothing. Now, David himself was a shepherd, and so he's speaking from personal experience. He knows what it takes to be a shepherd. He also knows the difference between a good shepherd and a bad shepherd. But this term was also used commonly in the ancient Near East to refer to great kings and deities, to convey a sense of authority and power. And so right away, David is making a statement of the nature of the relationship between Yahweh and humanity. Yahweh is the master, and as humans, we depend on, rely on Yahweh for everything. As he goes on to say, Yahweh is not merely a mighty shepherd, he's also a good shepherd. So he continues, he makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He refreshes my soul. And so we see here that Yahweh is providing for David. He's providing food and water. But beyond that, he's also providing rest. You see, notice here it says, he makes me lie down in green pastures. And so it's not just eating. There's also rest involved. And so it conveys generosity in green pastures, but also a sensitivity, a particular care for the sheep. So much so that David writes, he refreshes my soul. Now this word refreshing, that's actually more the picture of someone being revived with a drink of water. That's the degree to which David feels Yahweh's provision is giving him. So Yahweh provides like no other. He provides with generosity, with wisdom, and with sensitivity. So he continues. He guides me along the right path for his name's sake. Alright, so the flock is on the move. Yahweh is guiding. And he's guiding along the right path. Now, right path, that's not really saying in the right direction or paths of righteousness as if it's communicating the morality of the one following. It's actually talking about the morality, the character of the one guiding. It's actually better translated faithful paths. It's talking about the faithfulness of Yahweh, that his guidance can be trusted. And he guides along right paths for his name's sake. He does it because that's who he is. He is, by nature, faithful. In a sense, the name Yahweh actually means faithfulness. I am that I am. That's what Yahweh means. Yahweh will be true to himself. And David is saying that who he is faithful and good. So he continues, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Now, for anyone thinking that David was in the clouds, was in the clouds, unrealistic and idealistic, David acknowledges that we enter into times of trials and tribulations, dark places, places of danger. But he fears no evil. Why? Because Yahweh is with him. He never leaves. That's a significant point. David knows that a bad shepherd in the face of danger would leave. preferring to save his own life. But Yahweh never leaves. His commitment to protecting David is higher than even allowing himself to be in danger. And so he trusts in Yahweh's protection, not merely because he's capable of protecting him, but also because he's so highly committed to protecting him. He would do anything and everything possible to save David and his sheep, even at the risk of his own life. This should sound familiar to us. He continues, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows." Now, this is departing from the shepherding metaphor, entering into a new image, host. Yahweh as host. And the way it describes here, you prepare a table before me, anointing my head with oil. These are terms of hospitality. Yahweh is being the host in a gracious and extravagant way, honoring David. Now, to me, this is just mind-boggling. Yahweh as shepherd, that's amazing. I can understand that, but Yahweh as host, Yahweh is preparing a table before us, serving us. This is upside down kind of love, the kind of love that we're used to seeing in Jesus. But this is Yahweh. And so he continues. He concludes saying, "Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." And so he concludes with firm assurance and conviction in the character of Yahweh that he is good and he is loving. This is the God that David knew and loved. It's a very different God than what we typically think of as the God of the Old Testament. This is the kind of God that we can put our faith in, that we can give our lives to, give our hearts to. This is the kind of God in whom we can join David confidently in saying, "Surely your goodness and mercy, love, will follow us all the days of our lives, and we will dwell in the house of the Lord forever."